So now that you have a good idea of how to open Excel and start a new file, and you also know how to navigate your way around Excel, it is time to focus a bit more on the worksheet area. It's a good idea to first of all save any work that you do. Now, if you have Office 365, all Office documents, including Excel, as well as Word and PowerPoint, are auto-saved. So normally what you would be able to see, but you cannot see it here on my screen, at the top right where you see this little floppy disk, which is the save button, you would have a little slider switch known as autosave, and you would actually have the word autosave. So if you have downloaded your Excel from the City site and you have installed it and you have logged in, you have a copy of Office 365. This is your private copy to which you have access for the full year of your studies. If for whatever reason you are in the labs at the business school, then the license with on Excel on these machines is slightly different, so the autosave feature may not be available. Instead, you will have the little floppy disk here if the shortcuts does exist on the quick access toolbar. Otherwise, you need to remember to save your work regularly. So to save your work, let's say we're going to put here, I'm going to type the word label. And here I'm going to put a couple of numbers. So to save, you can click on the floppy disk, or you can click on the File tab and then select Save. They do exactly the same thing. Excel will ask you to choose a location. I would like to save it on my OneDrive, which is easier. So you select that. And then from there, you will see that on the right-hand side, there are various folders which have been opened recently. So I'm going to choose one of these folders. If you want to find a folder which is not listed here, then you simply click on Browse. So if you click on Browse, you will see what I have here is my OneDrive at City, and then I can select one of these folders, and then I can save my files there. I'm going to cancel this action. Instead, I'm going to select this folder here, Excel class files, click on it, and then it will open the folder. There are several other topics. I'm going to name this test file, right? And you will see that the default type that Excel is saving is something called XLSX. It's an Excel workbook. It's worthwhile dropping down this menu, and you see there are several other types of files which you can sell Excel as, or indeed export. One which we're going to see much later towards the end of this series of tutorials is a macro-enabled workbook. This is necessary if you're saving VBA code, so you have to save your Excel file as a macro-enabled workbook. And you will notice that the extension changes to XLSM. If you want compatibility with previous versions of Excel, all the way back to 2003, then save it as a simple XLS file. There are several other ways. You can save it as text. You can save it as an XML file. An interesting format is something called comma delimited or comma separated values, CSV. So this is the simplest way of saving data, especially data with numbers and text. In many cases, if you visit databases from where you can export information, it is quite frequently exported as CSV, and then Excel can read them automatically. So right now we're going to stick with the default file type, which is Excel Workbook, and I'm going to simply click Save. There might be a little bit of a delay because remember, Excel is not saving in the local drive, it is actually saving on, as you're going to see, on your own personal space, which also resides on SharePoint, but it is your personal file space. So this is now saved. You will see now the file name at the very top. Now, if you have the Office 365 personal license, then the autosave button, which would be located here, would slide and would become active. So this happens under two provisions. I repeat, you have an Office 365 license and you save the file in your OneDrive space at City. Or it could be on your personal OneDrive. But as I said, the best thing to do is save it on your space, on the space that you have at City, because you have about 1 terabyte worth of file space. So now the file is saved. Now let's say that you want to close the file. If you're running Excel in a Mac environment, you can simply close the windows which contains the file, and Excel will continue being open. If you're running Excel on a Windows machine, then the obvious thing to do is click at the cross on the top right, but this will completely close Excel if this is the only file you have active. If there is another file that you have open, then that file will remain open. But if you have the one and only file active, if I click that, then Excel will close completely. So what you might want to do is go back to the File tab and then simply select Close. So this will leave you just with the ribbon, which is now grayed out because, of course, there is no file to apply any of the shortcuts which are available to you. So you can go back to the File tab and try to open another file, or indeed you can go to New and create a new file from a template. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open an existing file. This time I'm going to go down to my folders. This is the folder that contains all the files for the particular module. I'm going to go to another subfolder, this one, Excel class files. And there you see I have something called topic 1. So I'm going to open this file. Now this file is available to you. It is under the section which contains topic 1 for the very first week of the term, and it is the file which you can download. You don't have to download the file, you just have some data with which you can play around while we're going through the material here. So I have a couple of warm-up exercises, and then as you will see, I have a couple of sheets here with data which I have downloaded. This data is downloaded from Clarkson's Shipping Intelligence, and this data are downloaded by DataStream, a service which is part of Reuters, Thomson Reuters, or rather now under the new company name, which is Refinitiv. And this is another resource which you will be able to use during your studies at the business school. For those of you who are completely new to Excel, you will notice the additional feature that a single Excel workbook or file, as we conventionally know it, can have a number, actually quite a large number, of individual sheets. This can be very useful because you only need to have one file for a particular project, and then your entire work can be stored there. So for example, part of this module is the putting together of a business plan. The business plan will have a document which will contain the report. That document can be a single Word file on which all the members of the group can work together collaboratively. And at the same time, you will need an Excel sheet, an Excel workbook rather, where you're going to have the various financial statements about your business proposal. So you will have, for example, a sheet that contains your cash flow, another one that contains your profit and loss, another one that contains your balance sheet, another sheet that contains perhaps in one place all the various assumptions that you make, And of course, these sheets can be linked together. So you make any changes in your profit and loss, then the cash flow is updated automatically, and then the balance sheet is updated automatically, and so on and so forth. So you can have a number of different sheets, and you see in the particular file, the sheets that you saw before, 2 different tabs, and you will see that one is actually red and the other one is green. So how can you add sheets? Very easily. You simply click on the plus button and a new sheet is inserted. Automatically it takes a generic name. It will be sheet 1, 2, 3, or whatever it is. So all you need to do, you can right click on it and you have a number of different things you can do from the pop-up menu. So first of all, you can insert another sheet, you can delete the existing sheet, you can rename it, you can move or copy, which is quite useful. You can view code if there is one, you can protect the sheet. So this is quite useful when you want people to be able to change some of the aspects of your work, but not everything. You can also change the tab color, you can even hide it. So in this case, let's say we want to rename it. By renaming it, you will see the sheet name is highlighted, and then all you need to do is to type your own name. You can have spaces, you can have underscores if you like. Now remember that if you're linking formulas which are on a different sheet, Excel will use the full name of that sheet plus the location of the particular formula, something we're going to see in a bit, known as the cell address. So make sure that your sheets do not have very long names, and a good practice is to either use no spaces, or where you want to have a visible space is to use an underscore. An underscore is located under where your hyphen is. You press shift and hyphen and you get the underscore. Or indeed, you can use a hyphen, it's the same thing. Why is that? Because if you want to type your formula by yourself and you have to include the sheet name, it is very easy to make a mistake adding, for instance, an extra space there. And if Excel cannot recognize the sheet name, then your formula is going to be invalid. So you don't need to worry about it that much, but if you start making more complicated workbooks, then this is good practice, something to think about. So I'm naming this new sheet and I'm keeping the hyphen. Actually, you press return and this is the new sheet name. Now, if you would like to change the way it looks, go on the tab, right click once again. From the pop-up menu, you can change the tab color. Okay, so the tab color can be, for example, this one could be blue. So there you are. So if I highlight another sheet, you will see that this new sheet has a blue tab with white text on it. If you want to delete sheets, very easy. Click on the sheet you want to, right click and hit delete, and that's it. If you want to copy a sheet, also very easy, right click. You're going to move or copy. Now, both of them are interesting. Why? Because most of the time you will want to create a copy, and the copy may be in the same workbook or could be in another workbook. So if it's in the same workbook, I can say create a copy, and then it will ask me where should I place that. So I say move to the end, and then I click OK. So what Excel does immediately is it gives it the same name, but it cannot have an identical name, this new sheet. So what it does is it adds to it the number 2 in brackets. If I right click again and I go to move or copy, the other option I have is to create a copy, but move that copy to a new file. Now here, as you will see, I only have one file which is open. So if you have an existing file to which you want to copy that sheet, then you have to have that file open again. Otherwise, you can simply place it in a new book, which I can try now. And as you will see, an entirely new book has been created. It's called generically Book 2. It is not saved yet, so you need to go and save it. But the same sheet has been copied, And this time, the whole name has been kept as it is because it doesn't clash with any other existing sheets because there aren't any. So as you see down here on the taskbar, there are two files which are open right now, my original one and the new one. So what I will do, I will simply close that because I don't need it. Excel, of course, will ask me, do I want to save it? I will say don't save, and I'm back to my original file.